Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Cyrus and this is my first video ever. So what are we going to do here? We're going to talk about engineering. We're going to talk about building stuff. We're actually going to build some stuff. We're going to talk about engineering as a career. We're going to talk about engineering management. Some of you might actually want to be engineering managers someday, or you might be an engineering manager today and you're trying to figure out whether you're doing the right thing or even how to be better. We're going to talk about how to be the best engineer you can be. So why did I start this channel? My goal with this channel really is just to be helpful. I've had a lot of people in my career who have mentored me, who have taken time out of their days and out of their lives to help me be better. And so I thought to myself, why don't I make a YouTube channel and find a way to do that same thing for other people, but instead of one-on-one, maybe, hopefully, at a little bit of a broader scale. This is just kind of a test, honestly. I didn't want to get a bunch of fancy video and audio stuff. I really just wanted to ship. I wanted to ship my first video and see what happened. This is just my bedroom. This is just my normal stuff. That's where I sleep. But we'll see how it goes. So for the first video topic, I figured we'd talk about something that comes up all the time for me. It comes up when I'm talking to my reports, comes up when I'm talking to new managers, comes up when I'm mentoring folks who aren't even on any of my teams, and that is managing up. So first, let's talk about what managing up actually means. Managing up really means how are you communicating to your manager your successes and what you're doing really well, and how are you making sure that you're getting out of your relationship with your manager what you really need. So usually this takes the form of one specific thing, which is people being concerned that their manager doesn't really know how great they've been doing, or that they're not going to get recognized for their accomplishments. So that raises a really simple question, which is how can I make sure that my manager knows all of the awesome stuff that I'm doing? I usually give people two pieces of advice here. The first is keep a brag sheet. If you've never heard of a brag sheet before, it's basically a journal that you can keep totally to yourself. Keep it in your notes app, write it down in a notebook. Honestly, you can keep it wherever you want. The idea behind it is that you're keeping track of all of the awesome stuff that's happening that your manager might not see. I think a mistake that a lot of people make is assuming that their manager knows when they do awesome stuff. It turns out that everyone has really busy lives, and as much as your manager wants to be tapped into everything that you're doing, it's really your responsibility to make sure that all the awesome stuff you're doing is being told to them, that story is being told on a regular basis. What a brag sheet will help with is making sure that you don't forget, and making sure that when you go to talk to your manager, you have a list of things that you can walk through and you can talk to. What I'd recommend you do with your brag sheet is take it to your one-on-ones, whether it's every week or every couple weeks, and set aside some time in the beginning. Just say to your manager, hey, some really exciting stuff has happened and I'd love to share it with you. Now, the key here is not getting self-conscious about the fact that you're talking about why you're really great. For a lot of people, this can be super uncomfortable. Bragging, it's not really bragging, but it can feel like bragging, just doesn't come naturally to totally normal people. But the thing to keep in mind is that your manager is hungry for insight into your daily work, is hungry for reasons to be proud of you, for reasons to keep pushing you down that path towards your next promotion. And you know the stories of your successes better than anybody else. So it's really not bragging, it's just making sure that you're getting credit for the awesome things you're doing every day. And there's no one who can do that for you. That last piece is really key. It's important to keep in mind that you are the biggest advocate for your career and for your successes. You can't expect anyone to pull it out of you. You can't expect anyone else to see it. You're the best positioned to tell the story of your career and how the things you're doing every day tie into the areas of growth that either you want to achieve or that you and your manager have decided are really important to you. Now, the second technique I'd recommend is totally different. that first piece deals with how you talk about the things you're doing really, really well with your manager. The second piece deals with showing your manager that you're eager to grow, right? Communicating to your manager that you can handle more responsibility, or maybe that there are certain kinds of opportunities that you're really eager for. The second tip, super specifically, is ask your manager straight away, what can I help you with? It's a super simple question, and managers really aren't that used to being asked it. Now, at the same time, they're really, really busy usually. A lot of folks who are managing for the first time have a lot more work on their plate than they did before, and more senior managers tend to have a bunch of strategic initiatives that they're really excited to move forward with, but they just simply don't have enough time and they want to stay focused. So asking your manager, hey, how can I help? What's something that you're really hoping will get done that you just haven't had time for, is a great way to get visibility into really important strategic initiatives that are good for your career, that show that you can handle more responsibility, and that are also really significant to your manager. It's a simple question, and it's an easy way to set the tone with your manager that you're the kind of person they can go to if they need help. Now, with the second part of the video, we're actually going to talk about managers. So if you're a manager, you're going to want to hear this. If you're a manager, the first part was probably super useful for you too, because most managers have managers too. But this tip and this part is really for you in particular. Managing up isn't something that comes easy to everyone. And as a manager, it's your responsibility to understand your reports and understand what level of comfort they have with talking about themselves and talking about what they're doing really well and talking about how they can help you. Some folks are just kind of too bashful to do something like that. So the one tip, and this is really just stands alone because I think it's super important for managers, is when you have a new report, right, make sure that you set expectations with them that talking about their successes and telling you what they're proud of is okay. Now, there's no better way to do this than to just be super direct. What I do personally, with all of my reports, I have a one-on-one doc, and it's a doc that we use to track notes and track agenda items. And right at the top, I have an explanation of what I'm hoping to get out of the one-on-ones. And it's at the top of that doc, and it's the first thing I say with a new report that I'm onboarding, is I tell them, I want to know what your story is, and I want to hear it from you. I want to hear the ups, and I want to hear the downs, because ultimately I know that you're going to be growing. And if there are little ups and downs along the way, it helps me see what you weren't good at before that you're building skills at. Now, in later videos, I'll talk about different structures that I use for different events in an engineer's life, like around review cycles or when they're leading their first project, to really explicitly create feedback loops and talk about where they were weaker and where they're stronger now. But in the day-to-day life of an engineer, they're constantly growing. And so making sure that you've set the tone with them, that it's a comfortable place to talk about where they feel like they need support, and it's also a comfortable place for them to brag, is super important. You're going to find that if you can commit to that and you can be supportive when folks bring those kinds of stories to you, both up and down, that people will talk to you more. Your reports will be more open with you. They'll be more honest with you. And ultimately, it'll be easier to manage them, because when it comes review time, when you're writing written reviews or when you're defending them for a promotion, you'll be able to tell their story almost perfectly and chronologically in terms of where they were lacking skills and how they built them, better than anybody else, maybe even better than them if you take good notes. So that's my number one tip for managers in encouraging people to manage up. So that wraps my first video. Just to run it back, for everybody, number one, keep a brag sheet. Make sure that you're keeping track of your story and what you're really proud of, and that you're telling your manager about it on a regular basis. And number two, ask your manager how you can help. You never know what kinds of incredible opportunities will come from asking that super simple question on a regular basis. And for managers, the number one thing, Create an environment super explicitly, say it out loud to your reports, that they can tell you when they've had a great success and they can tell you when they're struggling and that they need more support. Get that story arc, understand them really well, and ultimately you'll be able to shepherd their career and their success better than anyone. So that about wraps it. Thank you all for watching my first video. I super appreciate it. If you liked it, then give it a like or maybe a subscribe. Or leave me a comment. If you liked it, you loved it, you disagreed, I'd love to hear from you. I'm totally going to be replying to all the comments. So yeah, find me down there. Have a good one.